Hello, my name is Susan Ashley, and last week I told you about one of my alien experiences, and today I wanted to tell you about another one that I had previous to that. Okay, so this is really intense for me because since I did the other video, a lot of things have come up for me. It's like I can't even explain. It's like my awareness expanded from being free. Actually, speaking it and putting it out there really helped my energy system. It's hard to explain. Anyway, as I said to you before, I lived in the Blue Mountains, and I have had experiences in other places apart from the mountains, but I had some pretty cool ones when I lived in the Blue Mountains in Wentworth Falls. I lived on the edge of the Charles Darwin Walk. So there was all nature around me. There wasn't houses around me. I was very isolated at the time. And so part of my story is that with this particular experience, I was pregnant. And I was having a very difficult time in the sense of my partner decided, and I haven't told anyone this actually, but my partner, when I was 4 months pregnant, decided that they actually didn't want the situation anymore and left. So I was alone, and I had a lot of things going on for me at that time, and it was a very emotional time for me and a very intense time. So I used to have this bedroom, I'm umming a lot, sorry. I used to have this bedroom that had French doors looking out to an expanse of garden and nature. And I very rarely put curtains on windows because I like to see outside. So I usually choose places or create places that I don't need to have those covered so I can see the sky at night. And people can't see me. And I placed the bed in the centre of the room. I didn't have it up against a wall. And I liked that because there was air all around me and kind of energy all around me. So my bed was in the centre of the room, and I was facing these massive doors looking out to the sky. And I love to read, so I was reading this night, and at one moment I felt a presence in the room, but I didn't, that's not unusual for me to feel something. But then the next thing I knew, I was flat on my back and I couldn't move, I was frozen. And I knew that there was someone behind my head that was very tall, a really tall being, and they started blowing in my third eye, and I felt like this electric shock was going through my body. I was very afraid because, I was pregnant. I didn't know how this was going to affect the child. I couldn't control anything. My body was pinned to the bed, and this thing was sort of blowing in my third eye, and it was like an electric shock. If you could imagine having electricity pass through your third eye or into your brain, and my body was convulsing. It was like I was like this, and in my mind, because I couldn't talk, and in my mind I was saying, what's going on, Anyway, this being spoke to me in my mind and said, look, just breathe with me. And it was a male voice. It was very deep and very calm. And it said, just breathe with me. Just relax and breathe with me, and everything will be okay. The pain will go away. So I decided to breathe in rhythm with this being for a moment. It stopped blowing in my eye. I breathed for a moment with this being, and I really relaxed. And then it started blowing rapidly in my third eye, going across like this, like but it was blowing inside my head. It was hard to explain. And then it stopped and it left. And I was left thinking, what the hell just happened? I mean, Most of my experiences are physical. I am awake. It's physically happening. It's not a dream. I've had some pretty incredible dreams about crafts and things like that, and seeing them in mass in the sky and saying to people, "Look, I told you it was going to happen." I've had those dreams, but these are experiences I have been in my waking state. And I have to say, you do question your sanity when something like that happens. Who do you tell? Most people just walk, they can't believe it. They think you're insane. And, it's not some sort of dinner table conversation. Anyway, after I had that experience, what was interesting was previous to that experience, I was working as a therapist, and I had all these abilities, but I didn't really tell anyone. Only a few people knew what I was capable of as far as what I could see in spirit and what I heard and what was happening to me. Very few people heard about that. So I wasn't, let's say, open about it at all. And I was very stuck in the paradigm of the system. And, you have to do everything by the rules, you have to do everything correct, you have to be part of a system. And I was very much about the mind, and my mind was having a very difficult time grasping that these things that were happening weren't part of my mind. It's hard to explain, but I really did think that my mind was cracking open and I was going a bit mad. I was very confronted by what I believed to be true and what is true. So after that, some pretty interesting things happened to me. First of all, I became incredibly psychic in the sense that I would just, I did have some training, which I'll tell you about later, but I became incredibly psychic, and people would just sort of basically sit in front of me and I could tell them anything as they were walking towards me. It was very weird, and it was very confronting because I wasn't used to expressing myself in that way. And also what happened as a result of that, I started to hear my guides very clearly. Like before, I thought it was me that was talking, and I couldn't really distinguish the two. But even though I knew I was somewhat guided, I didn't really understand it. But after that, I really knew when they were talking to me, and I really knew when they said something that I needed to not obey it, but follow it, and things would work out. Some pretty remarkable things actually happened as a result of that. And I'll quickly tell you one of them. They said to me, Susan, you need to get your driver's license. And I was broke, and because I wasn't working, when I fell pregnant, I decided to stop working in what I was working in. And they said, you need to get your driver's license. And I went, well, that's not possible. Well, I don't have any money to purchase a car. Who's going to teach me to drive? I'm living in the mountains. I don't have any friends. And, how am I going to do it? And then they just said, we want you to learn to drive. So I went and got my L's. And I went down the road, and for some reason I did lotto. And when I did the lotto, I forgot about it. And a few weeks later, I was down visiting my brother, and I was looking after his kids. I took them bowling, and I got a message, Susan, you should check your ticket, your lotto ticket. And at the time when I got the ticket, I was told to register it in this way that they would know who the winner is. And I thought, oh, okay. So I had won enough money to purchase a car and a few other things. And thankfully, my brother helped me to purchase the right car. But the reason I'm telling you this is because they told me to do something that in my mind said, it's not possible, that's stupid, why would you even bother? You don't have a car, you've got no way of buying a car, so just forget about it. And because I actually went and got my L's, and I also asked my brother if he would teach me, like just sit in the, I knew he wouldn't let me drive his car, but I thought if I could sit in the driveway and just change the gears and get used to doing something like that, it would help, you know, because I couldn't afford driving lessons. So that is following guidance, and I believe that experience that I had, and I know it was an alien being. For some reason, I knew it was an alien being and not a spirit being. I know the difference between the two of them because I've had different experiences. And I feel that part of the reason that I've had these alien experiences is so that I can help people who are from those planets. And I know that sounds extremely weird, but I'm really good at identifying where people are from. It's weird, they'll walk towards me and I'll go, oh, that's a such and such. So that's one of my stories. I hope you've enjoyed it. And let's see what else happens. Bye. Create a fantastic day. And also, before I leave, start talking to your guides and creating a bridge between you and them, because it really, really helps. And at some point you'll start hearing them, or ask them for a physical sign that they're actually listening to you. Have an awesome day. Bye.